Woo! Hot one this week. Holy
Really was.
moly. Yeah, time to stay in the air conditioning. Big show today. A couple hours. Next week, Todd, you won't be here.
That is correct.
I also will not be here. So
Okay.
probably not going to. I'll be out on the high seas. So going to head down to T-Town and go out and be a first mate. Take the boat out, sail around, probably capsize.
Get your sea legs about you?
Yeah, I get something. So it'll be a much better 2 hours than it normally would be. A ton of stuff to get to on the program today. In addition to Stats will be with us for the entire second hour.
Looking forward to that.
Giving us a rundown of SEC Media Days. And I don't know. I sometimes wonder. There was a point in time, and I'm going to ask Stats about this. There was a point in time that I thought that we had better, more accurate, and more insightful commentary on college and pro sports than we did on the American political scene on our radio, television, and news outlets. Now, I'm not so sure. Because I thought, look, on the political side, you're always going to get, if I'm watching CNBC in the morning, okay, and I know they're going to go to a politician, no matter who I may. Tom Cotton's on there all the time. Love Tom Cotton. So, but I flip it because I can't do it. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm in the business and I can't do it. Because I know what's going to be said. And I don't know what, Joe Kernan's on there trying to get the minority leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries, to say something, and he's not. He's not going to deviate from his talking points and all of that. Okay. Occasionally, you get somebody on there that goes off script and actually, says something legitimate. But it's a Haley's Comet situation. So there was Paul Goodell, who was Jimmy Carter's pollster in 1976, and he sort of reemerged on the American political scene after Bush won in 2000. He was old and goofy enough that he just spoke his mind. He was critical of both parties. He was insightful. Whenever Paul Goodell was on, I stopped what I did and watched it. And then, of course, he died. So now, okay. That's the political. Now, I don't know, man. It's all the same, right? It just, because ESPN is hemorrhaging money, which is why they're firing everybody. And then, because they realize that even their stuff, you get outside of Stephen A. Smith, or Screaming A. Smith, as he's known, it's done. Nobody's watching. Nobody cares. There was a steady diet of left-wing pablum that was spouted by a bunch of young people, and ESPN's core audience for the television show just left, stopped watching. They don't care to watch it anymore. If it's not a live sporting event, which is why that's what they're spending their money on now, they don't care to watch. Stephen A., you could put a potted plant up next to him. I mean, Skip, really, when the two of them were hot, that was the debate show to watch. And then even that shtick kind of runs. I mean, Firing Line, or the old CNN program in the 90s. I mean, that only runs so far. And people are like, okay. I don't know. And because ESPN had geared itself to transition out of broadcast television and onto all these social media platforms, they had all these young people making decisions, and they catered to that audience. And it's been an utter disaster. Because they found out, turns out, they don't really care. And so you've abandoned your core audience, and that's why they're hemorrhaging money, because they can't, once you get outside of Screaming A or a live event, you ain't watching it. There's not, who Who watches highlights? I watched the whole thing on my phone. It's Friday night. Oh my gosh, I've discovered this to show you what a shut-in I am. Friday night, Todd. Apple Plus baseball Friday nights. Mind blown. It's like it's the wheel or the light bulb, whatever. Because who knew you could make baseball really interesting on TV? I didn't. Yeah. I got 4 games. Excuse me. Pardon me. Omaha. I have 4 screens on my screen. And they're bouncing around to different games when stuff's happening. And they're going in, and I watched 3 games go down to the 9th inning final strike. You know, I'm all over the map. I mean, I'm seeing literally, geographically, I'm covering the United States in my viewing. And the pitch clock moves things along, and, the ball's in play a lot more now. It was exciting to watch baseball. And I thought, this can't be. Have I crossed into some other dimension?
Some alternate universe somewhere?
Where Calvin Coolidge is the president and baseball is fun to watch? So, yeah. Baseball can be fun to watch. But it's so that's what see, they're innovative. They figured, give us one night, we own the rights to broadcast all the games, and we get to pick out, one good game. So, but I'm watching 4 different, and they're bouncing around. 2 games finished, 2 more games start over here. I got a cigar lit, done, over. I may never go out again on Friday night. Like I go out on Friday. But I mean, it's it. Shut in. Just give me one of those meal programs that drops it off at my door. So, hemorrhaging money, nobody watches except if it's a live sporting event. And so you realize now kind of, and I want to get into this with stats. I think sports journalism has sunk to a new low. And I don't mean sensationalistic. I just mean no hard-hitting questions. No, everybody's going along to get along at media days, Everybody's just kind of rocking along. They don't want to upset the commissioner. A&M brings its players up there in a bunch of mirrored sunglasses. Like they got 3 F-16 pilots, I guess, that are playing for them this year.
Maverick, Goose, and Iceman.
I mean, thank you. That's who did A&M's media days, Todd. You're exactly right. Maverick, Goose, and Iceman. Nobody's asking any hard-hitting. Nobody asks Jimbo Fisher one time, hey, Bobby Petrino, he's really there because that's a way for the administration to get other people to coach the team and not have to pay you a buyout. Yes or no? And then just, that's a good question. You want to know that. Do you think now they're going to skate around but you ask the hard questions and I think now all that's left that's real journalism on a national level. I'm not talking local, on a national level. All that's left is business journalism. You watch Bloomberg, you watch CNBC, with the exception of Kramer, and he's a cartoon. Insightful sometimes, but a cartoon. That's it. Because money is at stake and they have to get it right. That's why I think that's it. That's the last bastion of real journalism. Not Huntley Brinkley, not Cronkite telling you that's the way it is. Man, I'm just realizing I sound like an old man on the porch, don't I? I'm just missing you kids get out of my yard. Uh-oh, our Frisbee went in old man Vickery's yard. I'm not going over there. He's angry. But it's frustrating because we need good journalism in America, and we just have newsletters now that are digitally communicated to us. That's it. I get my newsletter under the guise of Fox News or my buddy Over here, my lefty buddy, he gets his newsletter called MSNBC and the Washington Post and the New York Times and all that in the Post. I mean, Bezos, he is the, super wealthy. Bought the Post 10 years ago and lost $100 million. Secretly, they all need Trump back. That's Post, the Times. They all need that guy back because he sells magazines. So we'll talk to all of this to say it was a week of backslapping good old boy chicken fried steaks. Nobody really found out anything. But it also serves as the kickoff to football season now. That's what it does. They end of July, they drag everybody to a hotel. Used to be in Birmingham. Now they branched out. Nashville. Is Nashville becoming the new capital of the South? Usurping Atlanta? Could be. Could be. They build a dome stadium, they'll make a run at the SEC championship game. Well, they're building a dome stadium.
Yeah, they are for the Titans primarily, but yeah, that's absolutely what they're doing.
Airport expansion there. Talk about a tale of two cities, Memphis, Nashville. I mean, pretty obvious who won. They got the football team. That was the sign of things to come.
And then the hockey team.
Yep. You got to figure I would imagine somebody's in danger of seeing a baseball team moved. And we know Oakland's going to Vegas.
Well, and they have AAA in Nashville already, so it wouldn't be a big leap.
A little bit of a baseball feel there already. Summertime, it's hot, so you probably need,
probably need a retractable roof,
some kind of roof. Maybe you I don't know.
I don't know that you can multi-purpose.
Yeah, they don't like that anymore.
No,
because here's why. You know why you can't do a multi-purpose stadium anymore? I talked to a guy who is an architect, not Art Vandelay, but an actual stadium architect.
Okay.
The modern stadium is sports specific because of concessions and walkways and everything else. Why is the modern stadium so much larger, than, the Jerry World's so much bigger than the old Texas Stadium? The seating area and all that, it's now the walkways, concessions, escalators, all of that's designed to move you through the stadium and take dollars out of your pocket, and it works. I'll go stand in line for a couple, 3 minutes because I got the game up there on TV. I may stick around and get something else because I got 2 other games on there. I mean, when I'm not in a suite, of course. Yeah. No more gin pop for me after that Alabama experience. Not going back to general population. Can't do it. Got to be somewhere where somebody's not, munching nacho crumbs on my shoulders. Come on, buddy. I got half that nacho here on my right shoulder. Sorry about that. Hang on. Okay, thanks. I got it. Don't touch me. Oh. We lost a good one this last week. Born Antonio Dominic Benedetto, Long Island City, in 1926. Yes. Think about that. This guy was born, Babe Ruth. Yeah, Gehrig. Yeah, think about that. Think about it. Television didn't exist. It did, but it didn't exist. Radio was just really developing. The man saw the American century. He could croon it. And he ended up marrying a woman 40 years younger than him. My hero. We'll miss you, Tony.
It's the good life to be free and explore the unknown. Like the heartaches, when you learn you must face them alone. Please remember, I still want you, and in case you wonder why.
Well, you can tell by the way I use my walk. I'm a woman's man, no time to talk. Music loud and women walk, then keep can always take but never give. And now that things are changing for the worse, see, oh, life's going nowhere. Somebody help me. Somebody help me, yeah. Futures made of virtual insanity.
A little pamplemousse there. Husband and wife duo out of San Francisco. Both went to Stanford. And he started Patreon. That goofy thing where you can give people money if you like what they do, you know, support their art.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Okay.
Not sure how he makes money off that. I think they're about a half a commie anyway, but man, they make great music. And she's fantastic. Upbeat. Turn that. You cannot be in a bad mood and listen to Pomp.
Oh, life's going nowhere. Somebody help me. Somebody help me, yeah.
Okay.
It's always a good thing when you can understand the lyrics being sung.
Yeah, you know. It's a bunch of happy-go-lucky kids. We got to get those insurance guys up here. That's what needs to happen. Obviously not next Sunday, but maybe the next Sunday I can ask some questions and I can get some stuff done. I'm not worried about you guys. I'm worried about me. You know? Life's not slowing down. Dateline, Washington, D.C., the aforementioned Washington Post headline. House Oversight Committee announces a hearing dealing with UFOs, UAPs, which I'm assuming is unexplained
phenomenon.
Thank you. Well done over there, Todd. And it quotes a member of the committee, Tim Burkett, a member of the United States Congress, tweeted this out. The House Oversight Committee will hold a hearing on UAPs. Doesn't that sound like something the NFL would do? Well, in this week's UAPs, Dak Prescott strained a hamstring. Well, the team UAPs, OTAs, jeez. Again, quoting United States Representative Tim Burkett, quote, the House Oversight Committee will hold a hearing on UAPs on Wednesday, July the 26th. And he goes on to say, we're done with the cover-ups. Now, I don't know. This, to me, this could be must-see TV. This could indeed be must-see TV. Burkett goes on in a news release via the Washington Post. Quote, we're going to have professionals in here, and we're getting blowback from some of the alphabet agencies, ... I'm sick of government, ... that doesn't trust the people, end quote, Tim Burkett. So, who's going to, Shatner? Will Shatner be there to testify? To me, he's the go-to guy.
Right?
Watched him last night. He's out there dealing with aliens and Klingons and Romulans, unexplained phenomena. To me, Shatner's the guy that you want in that chair. Sabotage. Spock analysis. Oh, I'm trying so hard to get an interview with him, too. You know what? Now that, and this is what I fear, Tony Bennett dies, he and Willie have to be next, right? They're all about the same age.
Keith Richards has to be up there, too.
Yeah, he's way up there. But so I'm trying hard to get an interview for when he's in town, September the whatever it is for Comic-Con. Because by that point in time, it won't matter. You won't be able to get to him, won't be able to touch him. But hopefully we'll do a phoner, middle of the week or whatever, and we can chop it up. And because I really want to ask Shatner about T.J. Hooker. People want to go Boston Legal or Star Trek. I focus in on Shatner, T.J. Hooker, because the work he did with the great Adrian Zmed and Heather Thomas, who was the better version of Heather Locklear, she just didn't have as good an agent. But hard-hitting drama there. But anyway, back to this hearing. What's stunning about this hearing is this going to be about UFOs and UAPs and whatever else we want to call them, Martians? Okay, that's what we're dealing with here. But kind of turns out nobody cares. Nobody. I mean, usually for these things, there's a buildup, right? And Fox and CNN, we'll cut it live. But they're going to have some goofy professor with nutty looking hair that everybody's going to look and go, oh boy. But
Brent Spiner from Independence
Day.
Day.
Exactly. That's who it's going to be. I see here, sir. Mr. Congressman, you don't understand. These beings are from a different culture. So, I don't know. I'm going to watch it, though. 100%. Because if you're the staff person for the congressman, how do you prepare the? Well, we've looked into this. What is? Because it should be a serious topic if it's legitimate. But then again, Martians from outer space. Like I'm still working on how Hunter Biden got away with what he got away with. Speaking of Hunter Biden, this week, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the congresswoman from Georgia, set the world on fire when she, as part of an exhibit, not the rapper, let's see, where am I going to go with this? No, there. As part of an exhibit, Ms. Greene Taylor showed photos taken from the Hunter Biden laptop of Mr. Biden, Hunter, and some other ladies, kind of in a, I get, listen,
compromising.
The guy took pictures of everything. So why not? And he never wore, somehow this man who made all this money from the Chinese and the Ukrainians couldn't afford a shirt. The man did not wear a shirt for some reason ever in this period of time. So it's still shots taken from some videos that are on the laptop, and you know what they are. Okay. They're just missing Ray J. Okay. That's all they're missing, is just missing Ray J holding the camera, which my first thought when I saw it, by the way, I did find it odd that this committee, which is sparsely attended on a regular basis, was standing room only, and, she gave a warning, like, I'm going to hold up some naughty pictures, and you get to see Hunter Biden's shadoobie and his bum and a couple old gals running around, yeah, it's what it is. But my first thought was, instead of trying to bury this and hide it and everything else, Hunter Biden ought to be on the phone to Kris Jenner or Kris Kardashian, whatever her name is now, Kris Jenner, on the phone to her immediately, because they could reshoot this and put like one of them, Kylie or Kendall or Cujo or whatever they've got left. Who's the fat brother? Rob. Rob could be off in the corner. And then all of a sudden, because you talk about monetizing one of those things. Nobody knew who those people were. They knew Robert Kardashian. And all of a sudden, 15, 17 years later, they're all billionaires, one right after the other. And as I've said before, Ray J did most of the work, and he's not making any money. So that's who Hunter Biden should have been on the phone with immediately. Hey, Chris, Hunter Biden, can I fly out? Okay.
If Taylor Swift can recut her own music,
yes.
Then
why can't we put Hunter Biden in the Ray J thing? That's gold, baby. That is gold. That is, and when asked about the situation with the laptop and the presentation of these pictures, the president said, "Is it Wednesday? Wednesday's soup day." Huh? What? Iraq, Ukraine. Huh? Yo, ma.
It's a choice of Jell-O or tapioca pudding, Mr. President.
Right, exactly. Can I get a roll or cornbread? Yeah, you got it. You got it over there. Todd, you're on fire today. Jell-O, green Jell-O or tapioca pudding, sir? Both. It's Wednesday. No, sir, it's Monday. Huh? So there's Hunter Biden, on the laptop and all that. But what I find interesting, and this jumped out at me. So the House Oversight Committee, they're discussing the laptop and the contents, but then they bring on one of these whistleblowers. And this guy worked at the IRS, was a criminal investigator for the IRS. And a self-described liberal Democrat, gay man married to a man. So he said, I stated in his opening statement, like, I ain't doing this for political reasons. I'm just telling you, I sat in meetings when we were supposed to be asking questions, and I was told by my supervisor, and this is all in the transcript, so you can read it or watch it or whatever you want to do with it. I'm not making this up. That I was told by my supervisor, we cannot ask those kinds of questions of the Bidens. Okay? You cannot do this. He was told he was thwarted on a number of occasions as he was asking questions and told not to do this. And so, like, hey, I come forward just to say, look,
I tried to do my job.
Tried to do my job, and this happened. Okay. What? So obviously somebody's lying. Somebody somewhere is lying. And I don't know. And look, I'm pretty cynical. This guy could be being paid by some sinister organization that's out to get the Bidens, or he could just be telling the truth, or it could be both. Just because we pay my preacher to preach on Sunday doesn't make him a liar. The truth and being paid to tell the truth can coexist. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is the guy came forward, he still has not been afforded whistleblower status. So somehow, this just the double standard that exists is beyond belief. But part of the man's testimony, which is being glossed over, is that is the kind of shaky thread that Ms. Taylor Greene was putting together and why she was showing these photos is that on his tax returns, or it's part of the return, Hunter Biden was claiming write-offs for country club memberships for business when in fact they were membership dues to sex clubs and used to procure the services of working girls. If this were Starsky and Hutch, we call them pros. Huggy Bear, we all know what Huggy Bear really did, right? I mean, Antonio Vargas, we all know he was lovable on Starsky and Hutch, but in reality, we would call him a human trafficker now. Okay. That's a show I want to do. I want to go back and review 70s TV programs through the prism of a woke 2023 person. Because Huggy Bear is a human trafficker, okay? And probably Starsky and Hutch are probably corrupt. Anyway, the point is that Mr. Biden was claiming that these were country club memberships worthy of a tax write-off. Okay. Now, I'm speculating now, okay, but an insider explained to me that when he tried to say that Club Ramrod was a country club, my first thought was, is that like for, big hitters off the tee? Like Club Ramrod, man, a 560-yard par 5 only, when's the PGA? Now that they're going to merge with LIV, why wouldn't the PGA just do a tour there? Club Ramrod. Like Club Soft Touch. Well, that's mostly for putting. Is this what Hunter Biden did? Claiming these memberships as write-offs because they were country clubs as part of a professional expense. But yet in reality, it was to, go to how do you do? And where did you explain it like that? Like, well, you know, this is what the deal was. I mean, when you wrote that little explanation out on it, is that what you said? Worked primarily on the driver and the 3-wood. Okay.
And then worked in some putting last minute.
Yeah, and did club soft touch. Oh boy. The pictures were. At one point, they note that he called one woman an assistant when she was worked for Huggy Bear. He flew her from L.A. to D.C. Rookie move, dude. I mean, sand to the beach, okay? So he wrote that off as a business expense because he needed her there. And then, there are pictures of her. And I'll say this for Mr. Biden. He may not have been able to wear a shirt, but he had if he were a wine enthusiast, he'd be a sommelier. Like I got a feeling like he got a grandbaby up in Jonesboro. The president does. Oh, sing us out of here, Tony. You were a great one.
Wait and see. I want to be around to see how he does it when he breaks your heart to bits. Let's see if the puzzle fits so fine. That's when I'll discover that revenge is sweet. As I sit there applauding from a front row seat when somebody breaks your heart.
Another one that's gone, Christine McVie.
Yeah.
Todd and I watching the British Open here in the studio. You see Brian Harmon's, like he's 19 waggles there when he gets a. Like that's got to get in your head, right? Just 1, 2, like he's over the ball. It looks like me trying to, like, oh boy, oh gosh.
Well, it's just like a batter in baseball, fastening and refastening the Velcro on their batting gloves.
When they never took the bat off their shoulder.
Yeah.
You know? And you get out of the step out, which is, I'm happy that's all gone. And that begs the question, this has been discussed in professional golf, and now that the Saudis are going to own it, hey, chop here, move along. How much concentration? I mean, Michael Jordan catches the ball in the corner and shoots. Bird, Steph Curry, who hit a spectacular shot last Sunday to win the pro or the amateur
American
thing.
Century Championship. Yeah.
Oh man, that place is Tahoe it suffers from being a 50s era thing, but it is a great spot to go have fun. Yeesh. You can ski. That course is beautiful. Went to a New Year's Eve party there.
Really?
A few years ago. Yeah. Anyway, the point is Steph Curry catches, shoots. He doesn't get the, elbow in, whatever.
Feet set.
Yeah. I mean, in tennis, they're on a serve clock. I like this idea. And like I said, Friday, watching the game, move it along. Now, it's not, you don't have to, this isn't putt-putt. Or, as you aptly noted, Hunter Biden's country club of soft touch. Speaking of him, by the way. So this comes from the New York Times. So we may or may not believe it. A newly released report by the FBI reveals that Burisma, the Ukrainian natural gas company, why are we again? Just asking. Got to fight a proxy war with Putin. Can't not do that. Imperative to global security. Agree with doing it. However, multiple things can be true and wrong all at the same time. We pumped in $4 billion for sovereign debt retirement that went straight into the pockets of American investment banks. Get it. That's fine. As I said last Sunday, I then now worry about America becoming involved in wars around the world because that's just a way to make money off the American people. I'd like to see a breakdown of why USAID gave $4 billion for, well, the argument is, well, if they're a nation in debt, how can they, afford to fight these wars? Well, we did it. I mean, you look at the American economics. I mean, I'm going way too deep down a rabbit hole for this. Bigger point is these executives with this Ukrainian natural gas company in this FBI report, they've got emails back and forth where they're making fun of Hunter Biden. One says, Hunter Biden, hired by Burisma Holdings, a Ukrainian energy company under criminal investigation by Ukrainian prosecutors, allowed it to join its board of directors. Shocker of shockers. We go get Fredo and put him on the board right as, special man come to investigate. Get the goofy son of vice president. Bring here. There you go. You there. Don't say words. Take money. Go away. Get daddy to protect us. That's the deal, right? $50K a month for a board membership. And then all that brought with it, which was what we now know as part of this FBI report. The fact the vice president did meet with these folks. He met with freaking Ivan Koloff and the rest of these guys who were gangsters. I mean, that's who makes up. Anyway, Zolchevsky was one guy's name. And he said that Hunter Biden was as dumb as his dog. Actually, no, he said my dog is smarter. But we need to keep him on the board, quote, so everything will be okay. Mikolai Zolchevsky. He also is a professional wrestler, I think.
I was going to say, if you were going to rattle off Volkov,
I'm making that up, I think. Probably. I could be wrong. Former Ukrainian government minister. Well, what does that mean? He was the CEO of this company when he said, my dog is smarter than Hunter Biden, but we got to keep him around. so that everything will be okay. I mean, to me, that's just awesome. Awesome in the sense that it just, come on, you gotta know, right? I mean, you're not putting Fredo on the board of this highly complex business organization with mob ties so that what? You know, he's going to help you plan your natural gas strategy and how you heat Western Europe. You know, is that the real thing? So, no, I mean, you got him on there so he'll go tell dad, hey, we need this. And that's exactly what happened. They put him on the board. They pay him $50K. He goes and talks to his dad, and all of a sudden, the prosecutor that was investigating Burisma suddenly goes away. Get in car, Mr. Prosecutor. What? What's going on? What? Meanwhile, Hunter Biden meets a bunch of really attractive Eastern European women and puts it down as a golf expense.
Club Soft Touch.
Club Soft Touch. Stats will be in the next hour. We'll go through SEC media days. Who's overrated? Who's underrated? Is it really just a reason now for guys to get together and eat chicken fried steak and talk football? Is that really what SEC media days is? And
or if you're John Neighbors to sing karaoke.
Yeah. I think in Nashville is maybe the new capital of the South.
Could very well be.
Could very well be. And we'll continue to monitor the British Open. As Stats told me yesterday, they had a rare toad alert during the Open yesterday. What did I say? US British Open. The Open.
The Open Championship,
The
sir.
Open Championship, I'm sorry. Peter Alice is rolling over in his grave. Stay with us.
Place where we would weave such wonderful dreams. My world would wear a smile on its face like the man in the moon has when the moon beams. If I rule the world, every man would say the world was his friend. There'd be happiness that no man could end. No, my friend, not if I rule the world. Every head would be held up high. There'd be sunshine in everyone's sky.
we interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Here, football is a religion, and Saturdays are sacred. Players live for one moment. The seconds of a game-winning pass live on forever. Where football is more than just a game. It's a way of life. The nation's best conference. An American tradition for over 75 years.
I want it to be gain, not loss, good, not evil, success, not failure, in order that I shall not forget the price I paid for it.
To the 30, Lindsey's got 35-40. Lindsey's got 45-50, 45-40, 1, Lindsey, 25-20, 50, 10, 5, Lindsey's got.
Here's to Bo Jackson. Jackson's on his way. Goodbye. 71 yards for Bo Jackson.
Jones looking. Jones now throwing to the end zone, and it is complete! Oh, my! I can't believe it! 31 yards to DeGory Birmingham in the back of the end zone.
Billy Cannon watches it bounce. He takes it on his own 11. He comes back upfield to 15. Stumbles momentarily. He's at the 20. Running hard at the 25. Gets away from one man to 30. Still right at the 25. 35, 25. Billy Cannon raced some 89 yards for a touchdown.
Everything is riding on this football game. So there's a special intensity, a special urgency. Here come the Volunteers. Wherever you listen throughout the world, it's football time in Tennessee.
Oh, get on it. I left my home in Norfolk, Virginia, California home.
You can hear this gentleman every week on WHBQ Radio in Memphis, Tennessee. He is pregame, postgame voice of the Ole Miss Rebels. He is a proud graduate of the University of Arkansas. Still, in much the same way that Bart Giamatti banned Pete Rose for life, he is still banned. We're working with the administration to lift his lifetime ban from attending any intramural sporting event.
Let's get Hunter Yurachek on the phone.
We're working with the board of trustees now.
Okay, there you go.
On lifting the lifetime ban of our friend Stas Norsworthy, number 99 in your program, number 1 in your heart. Stats, good morning.
Good morning, Brother Bill, and I'm afraid the lifetime ban, we're at an impasse. It's very much like the Paris peace talks, where they can't even decide on the size of the table.
Yep, Kissinger demanded a square table, and the Viet Cong wanted the North Vietnamese wanted a round table.
But Hank Kissinger had a good time in Paris nonetheless.
Oh, hey, listen, the war could have been over a year earlier, but he was enjoying Paris. That's why I said, you know why? So we reached a peace accord between the Israelis and the Palestinians. You know why? Because it was in Dayton, Ohio. Okay. And they had to get the play-in games ready. So they had to move things along, you know?
He was distracted.
Right. He's in Paris. You can't have peace talks in Paris because who's going to want to end the thing?
Henry Kissinger wasn't much about talking.
No, that's like we're having a peace talks in Malibu. Well, forget about it. It's going to take 2 years.
We're having peace talks at Hefner's house.
Yes, yeah, exactly. That's going to take forever. You can't have peace. You got to have peace talks in like Allegheny, PA. You know what I mean?
Silicago, Ohio.
Yes, exactly. That's where you got to have your peace talks. Because then,
I think I just put Silicago in Ohio. It's actually in Alabama, where Hal Heflin was from.
Oh, the great Hal Heflin.
He was great.
Was it hardcore pornography, Justice Thomas? Yeah, I'm confused.
Looks like some offshore drilling to me.
Oh, that's great. Hal Heflin, man. I mean, that okay.
The judge.
The judge. Of course, he wouldn't tell anybody how he was voting on Thomas. And then I know everybody's waiting to hear what I got to say. I mean, I don't know. It's just something about okay. We digress, Stats. We're way
we did quickly. God help us, man.
Too down a rabbit hole.
Fun out of control in record.
All we're missing is an Eagle Krug reference and a Jeb
man,
McGriff.
That was Jockey Stewart missing the first turn at Indy from Jockey right out of the gate.
I mean, hot. Stats, shot out of a cannon. I wanted to reach out to you this week, but I thought, you've been in Nashville all week. You're tired. You've done a ton of all these shows, but I appreciate you being on today.
I told you the last time I was with you was a Sunday of a major. It was the U.S. Open, and I said we'll catch up the Sunday after the SEC Media Days. True to my word, I told you I'm good to go if you needed me, and I was good to go. And last week was great. It was great seeing everybody from the Buzz and what the Buzz and Justin Akery and so many have built there. It was fun seeing Randy and David and Trey and everybody that was there and John Neighbors as well. Love him. All the Democrat Gazette crew, of course. Wally Wally now he is the elder statesman of SEC media. He's earned it. He did it the old-fashioned way, and he did it with the help of Bob Holt. It was really fun seeing all those guys. And I can assure you, I promise you, the listening public, the reading public in Arkansas, you don't know how good you got it. You got it really good, great coverage of people that are committed and are passionate. And I see how hard they work and put in the work for you, the important listener, reader, Razorback fan, sports follower. That matters.
Okay. Those are wonderful words and accurate. And I've always thought that we punch above our weight considering size and population and the coverage that comes out of the sports section of the Democrat Gazette, one of their employees sitting right across from me here, Todd, as well as what Justin and everyone have done here to be a smaller community and have a 24-hour local or, 7 to 7 local sports talk station is quite a feat to put something like that together. Typically, it's reserved for cities that are larger, MSAs that are larger than what we have here in Central Arkansas. So all of that.
The Razorbacks are the pro team.
Well, that's
Arkansas.
it. Yeah.
Long before we kind of confused college sports with being like pro sports, Razorbacks were always treated properly as the only show in town, as the major league. And I told people forever that on Saturday, it's college football day. That's the day for Fayetteville and Oxford and Starkville and Tuscaloosa and Auburn and Baton Rouge. Sunday is for New York, Boston, Philadelphia, and Chicago. Saturday's our day. Sunday's for big cities. Smallville on Saturday, big cities on Sunday. But what they don't understand in the South, we've always had pro football.
Yeah.
It's been called the Razorbacks and the Rebels and the Tide and the Gators and the LSU Tigers.
Let me ask you, and this is a tough question for you to answer. Do we have too much now, though, of a pack mentality amongst all the press surrounding what's going on with the league and the individual teams? And has the, quote, media days, that week of media, has that led to a lessening of this proper scrutiny and created more of just kind of the go along to get along, good old boy stuff? Let's eat a chicken fried steak and talk about the old ball coach.
That's a good question, Phil. And sometimes I do fear coziness, and I do fear, how friendly we've gotten with the people that we cover. But I would rather be that than combative, because I know you can get more through coziness than you can being combative. Now, listener and reader, how much do they want to read and hear the takedown pieces? I don't think very much. But when the news warrants, we do. We do, and we should. I know we do, and I know we should, and I think we do. But most of the stories are flattering. Most of the stories are good. Yes, there's always the exception. But Bill, if you think the voting for SEC was pack mentality. What about the voters for Vanderbilt? What about the voters for Kentucky?
Yeah.
What about the voters for Texas A&M? Now, Alabama was voted to win the West. That's no surprise. And it's sure no surprise that Georgia voted to win the East, as they're going for the rarest of rare repeat. But there is coziness in it, but also I think there's scrutiny when it's needed.
Give me one surprise coming out of SEC Media Days, and it can be about anything. What was the surprise that you thought, didn't think about that?
The surprise for me was how Hugh Freeze just so seamlessly stepped right back into the SEC.
Well, it is Auburn. It is Auburn.
And after it was said that he would never work in this town again,
Yeah.
he would never work in SEC again, and now he's back. And I have vowed on the Hugh Freeze topic to keep it only on the football focus from here forward, because I think the rest of that stuff was talked and written about and discussed plenty. And he paid a heavy price. And then, he wasn't banished to the Isle of Elba by any means, but went to Liberty and did a good job there. Now he's back in the SEC, and he's one more formidable coach on game.
Who had the more difficult road back to quote legitimacy, Bobby Petrino or Hugh Freeze?
Well, Bobby Petrino, you could argue, got back. I mean, Western Kentucky and Louisville came back, and he didn't do a good job at it. So you could say he got back. Now, will he get back again? Does he have one more time to get back in the big arena? And that's going to be dictated by this year. They're all in Texas A&M. They're all in on facilities. They're all in on budget. They're all in on NIL. They're all in on Jimbo Fisher, Bobby Petrino on the offensive side, and on the defensive side with DJ Durkin. And I'm taking the bait again. I've got A&M 10 and I got A&M 10-2. I voted them second in the SEC West. I think they will have that kind of big year. And if they do, some of the credit will go to Bobby Petrino, and he will probably get a chance at another good job. DJ Durkin could as well, although hiring defensive guys, it's really tough these days to be the defensive coach out there with how the rules have changed. But the rules are changing this year again, Bill.
Yep.
And I think the emphasis on run, it may be slowing down a tad. You're still going to have a no huddle, but I don't know if it will be quite the hurry up. But if A&M has that kind of year, then Jimbo Fisher's in good shape. They will have to re-up for him, and they will. And Bobby Petrino gets another shot. If they have a disastrous year, he's done. It's the final time for him. And Jimbo Fisher will be out, and DJ Durkin will be out, but he'll get a job somewhere running the defense because he's a good coach, and he was improperly tarnished for all that at Maryland. He had nothing to do with that. And that youngster's parents would come to games at Ole Miss still out of their appreciation and friendship with him. He had nothing to do with that. But it was one of those deals where everybody had to go, and he went.
He got caught up in all of that. You're exactly correct about the A&M defensive coordinator, and that's just it. Best staff in college football isn't in Tuscaloosa or anywhere we might want to think. It's down there in College Station, because you put both of those guys that had success, that are good, and, as you and I have discussed, don't turn on Jimbo's headset and on game day, and he's the new Ed Orgeron. Like, just get out of the way. But my thinking is both Durkin and Bobby P kind of have a no-lose situation in College Station, because if they win, they claim the credit, because until we put this group of assistants together, A&M kind of floundered, and we were all over the map under the current under Jimbo. If they lose, they just blame Jimbo for meddling and kind of set their own narrative and say, give us a chance, and then you're right, they get rid of him and they got to move on.
It's a little bit like when you have co-coordinators, which is one of the dumber things ever.
Oh my gosh.
Because whenever you win, one of them takes credit. Whenever you lose, you say it was the other guy's fault.
Yeah. Yeah. So it will be interesting. I'm with you. I think this is the year for A&M. I think if they don't win this year, and by win, I mean, you got to win it all. Now the stakes are, you can't have Ice and Goose and Maverick all show up on media days with the aviators on and the mirrored sunglasses and What was up with it? Were the lights so bright there that somehow the A&M players needed to wear sunglasses inside?
I made it all week. I did 27 hours of live radio last week and never had sunglasses on.
I just think it's you did 27 hours of live and 3 hours of dead radio. But so but it seems like to me that Jimbo has had this. There's the culture down at A&M they're okay with losing a time or two or three. Like he's not. You get the sense like, how in the world are we talking about? Somehow Bill Belichick is on the hot seat and Nick Saban's lost a step. That's how the narrative has switched so quickly. Like, it just seems ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. And there's two places that will be in the SEC next year that will not come in limping. It's Texas A&M and it's Oklahoma.
Yeah, I mean, so you got to think it's this year. I want to pivot back though to something that you talked about, the rule changes. One thing that jumped out at me that I think will have a significant impact on the game, and no one's really talking about it, is the not stopping the clock on first downs anymore, except inside the last 2 minutes of the third and fourth quarters. I think I have that right? They will stop it.
You do.
So when you look at, and I know we've all gotten, and it's all done with, quote, player safety in mind and to reduce the number of actual plays and all that. But to me, it seems to enhance if you can run the ball effectively, especially in the second half. You can control the clock. I mean, time of possession. Now all of a sudden, it's 3rd and 2. I pick it up. The clock keeps rolling. It's not set it. Stop the clock. Now start it. None of that again. I mean, it just, to me, you control the football. You control the game, and it gives a big advantage.
Forever, Bill. I mean, I'm talking 40 years. I've tracked who wins the rushing battle, wins the game in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
I promise every year on opening day, 75%. I've never one time gone below it. And I always promise that winning the game, when you get that box score out, the team that won the rushing battle over the passing battle. Rushing is around 75, 80%. Passing is around 68 or 70%. Well, the most important thing in a box score is final score. I know that.
Yeah.
But here's another thing in the box score, that if you just covered up the final score and you look at the number of punt attempts.
Mm-hmm.
If you're punting more than the other team, you're losing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for all the complexities that exist, it really still does boil down to a very simple thing where, I mean, it's, what are you going to do, Coach? Well, we're going to try to score more points than the other team. I mean, that, yes.
And I love people that wanted to counter my rushing statistic number with, well, when you're winning late in the game, you're running the ball and you're finessing the clock. Well, yeah, that's the object.
Yes. Yeah, that's the whole point. I mean, I once watched Fredo Petrino have a 15-second drive for the Razorbacks when they were up in the second half against Louisiana Monroe and eventually lost. This is when they were a top 5 team. He threw 3 passes. It took 15 seconds and gave the ball back. They run one play. They win the game.
It kills your big guy. It kills your big guys. It kills your offensive linemen. It kills your defensive linemen because you're always, you're back out there. It's too much of a quick change. I think with the clock, you'll see people slow down just a bit, and we will see scores more like we used to saw them. I mean, we're still going to have some wild games, but you're not going to turn on and see the WAC in the Big 12 and the SEC.
Yeah, and so that, to me, in my way of thinking, is that rule change can't be emphasized enough. Like the pitch clock in baseball, which to me has transformed watching the game of baseball, may not have transformed actual baseball, but it's the enjoyability of watching the game has really skyrocketed. You watch now, I mean, you get the ball, you can go on a 14-play, 11-minute drive now in college football.
You could. Yeah. And you sure can have kind of 8-play, 8-minute, 9-minute. Well, 15-minute quarters, you just basically chewed up a quarter, and then if you quick change them and you do it again, you've looked up, you've controlled the half.
Yep. An incomplete pass on third down, you give the ball back, and which is why rushing the ball, and again, it's all kind of the domino thing. You play well on first down, that leads to short third downs, which leads to more first downs. And to your point about box scores, you look at the number of first downs as you alluded to. There you go. That's an extra 2, 3, 4 minutes of ball control that you have that you would not have had under the old rules. And you really, if you cannot run the ball, you really put a lot of emphasis on the precious few possessions that you're going to have on the other side.
And we really just encapsulated offense, defense, special teams. Offense running the ball, controlling the clock, time of possession mattering again. Defense getting the ball back, and we talked about punting and special teams. That's the three phases of football. I mean, it is cliched, but it's real. Time of possession will start to matter again.
Has Nick Saban lost a step?
I don't think so. Kirby Smart has gained about 2 or 3 steps, and right now they are the elite in college football. But Nick Saban has not lost a step. He's fine. Remember, in all this Georgia dominance, they've only beat Alabama once.
That's true. Well, you're right. And I don't think unless it's the SEC championship game, I don't see the schedule rolling around anytime soon. Does Georgia, who has the tougher time? Alabama in the West or Georgia now in the East? And then I got a follow-up about Tennessee.
It's Bama in the West for non-conference against Texas week 2. And then the West is still just stronger in this last year of the West, and Bama gets Tennessee from the East. Georgia doesn't get anything like that. They do get Tennessee from the East as the Eastern Conference game late in the year in Neyland, but they're Western opponents. They get Ole Miss at home, and they'll win that easy. And they've got the game at Auburn, and this is the year to go to Auburn. And I've told people in 2023, you're not going to recognize from the start of the year to the end of the year Robbie Ashford quarterback play at Auburn. By the end of the year, he'll be a different player for Auburn with what Hugh Freeze does with him. And then for Auburn fans, you're not going to recognize this year Crimson Tide in Auburn for Thanksgiving weekend for the Iron Bowl. In 2025, that return game, that's when Freeze will have it rolling. That team will be clicking on all cylinders then.
In honor of the Open being played in Liverpool, we got to go out with a little Penny Lane, which is there.
It is there.
And it's not interesting, by the way.
Any tribute to Pete Best around Liverpool?
Yeah. They forgot about him. This is, while he may have an awkward, lengthy pre-shot routine, I think the Open is well in hand, and the Harmon kids.
I think it's open. You get the Dremel out.
Yep.
And start scratching on that jug.
Yep.
Brian Harmon's going to win. Second place is going to be Step Scott. Georgia's winning it all now, aren't they?
Yeah, I was going to say the Bulldogs love it. Even Jean Van de Velde could not lose the Open with this lead.
The biggest sprint to lap since Hitler two-step down the Champs-Elysees.
Exactly. Well said. Stay with us.
Is a portrait of the Queen. He likes to keep his fire engine clean. It's a clean machine. Cause I only see you when it's 3 a.m. in California. Hit you with that 1, 2, ooh, hallelujah. I'm back in town again. I know I said it wild. My friends are all enjoying life. The city's getting hot and now I'm fired up. I've been drinking all day.
Well, the first segment ran a little long there, Todd. Thank you for. But that's I mean, when you're working in Henry Kissinger, Bobby Petrino, and Hitler all into one segment,
why not just let that go?
Just let that roll, man. Don't get in the way of that juggernaut.
No, heck no.
Or, it's been referenced on this station before, that joggernaut. Stats Norsworthy of WHBQ Radio in Memphis on the phone with us this morning, recapping media days for the SEC football. It's really become the official kickoff of football season, hasn't it?
SEC kind of controls college football.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly the leader of it right now. And the Big 12 tried to go the week before, and I thought really carved out a pretty good niche for them.
Yeah.
Welcoming their new teams and saying goodbye to Texas and Oklahoma. They were almost treated more persona non grata than the Live players by the Royal and Ancient at the Open. But when SEC speaks, people listen. Greg Sankey, I think, the most influential voice in college football, now re-up through 2028 to be commissioner of the SEC. And the job that he's done, most notably the job he did summer of 2020, when it was a bear fight to have college football, when the Big Ten was out there with that absolute fool, Kevin Warren, about to sabotage college football forever, letting the Ivy League dictate to you what you're going to do. And Greg Sankey just said, no, we're not going to let that happen. And we plowed on. Without that, we would not be able to recognize college football.
Yeah, more and more we're aware now that it was a true revenge of the nerds situation on the pandemic side of things.
We knew it then.
You're right.
We knew it
you're
then.
Right.
And we got
Right.
shouted down by people then because we weren't double masked.
Right.
I saw some fool
Right.
in Nashville appeared to be about 30 years old. He didn't appear like he any type of cancer survivor undergoing any treatment.
Yeah.
Only person there, double masked this week in Nashville. I just wanted to walk over to him and go, what kind of fool are you?
Yeah.
First of all, it's not doing anything.
Right,
Second
exactly.
Of all, you look like an idiot.
Yes.
But we knew it summer of 2020, and we were shouted down, and we ended up being right. And now even the New York Times vindicates us.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a lot's coming out of that now. And we find out more and more. The Wall Street Journal and the Times had a piece this last week about the disinformation and the quote censoring of. Oh wow, okay, I got to get out. Yeah. We got to get out. Sad story. Sorry, but the point being, Sankey, it was smart. He took his time. There was a little bit of criticism not coming out. We're going to play. Fans can't come. Then a few fans can get up in the stands. Right. We're going to continue to play the games. And now the conference is in such a powerful position as it moves forward with this unprecedented television deal, which really is the money truck has been backed up and poured, because that's it. If you're ESPN, you make your money about 6 months out of the year, and it ain't on a bunch of Sports Center programming or Women's World Cup. You
make it on NFL and on SEC.
Yes.
That's what you make it on.
That's exactly
right.
I
asked Greg Sankey directly when he was kind enough to be with us on Tuesday afternoon. I said, have we hit peak rights fees, or is the bubble about to burst? He said, not for our sport, not for what we do, not for anything that matters. And now you're seeing maybe even the potential of Major League Baseball, the NBA, and the NFL trying to buy ESPN and move it apart from Disney. And that won't affect college football. College football is clearly the second most popular sport in the country. It's the NFL by a mile, then it's college football. Then you can hash it out however you want for number 3. And while number 3 doesn't trail college football like college football trails NFL, it's still a distant third. And whether it's baseball or the NBA, you can have at it for which one it is. I think it's baseball, but whatever.
Getting the SEC deal done. And Bob Iger who's taken back over at Disney, talks about this. As a look, we're trying to offload ESPN. They're trying to get rid of it because it is, and I mentioned this earlier in the program. I mean, live sports is the engine. That's it. That's the only thing that is a revenue producer for ESPN. And if you can sell ESPN on that, somebody's going to buy it. They're going to slash out all the cha-cha. We're not going to watch any more highlights, and I'm not going to have to get the WNBA force-fed down me over and over again.
Or the NBA.
But just give me the games. Just give me the games, and that's what it's going to become.
The NBA, that the president of the Atlanta Hawks 4 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
well before COVID, said we got to get outside of that October, November, December scheduling model because the Hawks, the Grizzlies, the New Orleans, Dallas, San Antonio, Orlando, Miami, we're getting devoured by the college football monster in October, November, and December.
Right. It would not shock me, and no one's talked about this. There was a little blurb in the Wall Street Journal, but it would not shock me. And this is where I think Iger, taking back over at Disney, I think is really smart here. To see a DraftKings or a FanDuel or even a consortium of sports betting sites come together to buy ESPN or something like Bally's has failed on the local level, but now, and then just they completely rearrange the programming. It becomes gaming emphasized and live sporting events, and gone is all the hootenanny about needing to watch women's lacrosse or whatever it might be.
Or who's better, LeBron or Michael Jordan?
Yeah. All the goofy stuff that just is ponderous and doesn't create any revenue for them. And that's what that becomes a primary vehicle for that. So it
does, Bill, and I think that will help baseball.
Yes,
because as we get into this more live betting, and we're
Mm-hmm.
there with the betting, it's out in the public. We're not talking about meeting Big Jim on Tuesday and settling up with him anymore. I mean, it's out there legal.
Right.
Everybody's partners in it. You look at baseball. You have so many opportunities with all that schedule they play for a lot of betting. Baseball has to jump in the deep water of betting.
Yeah. Well, here's the issue is this. Given the pace of play now, all the prop things that you can go through, hit, no hit, the pace of it all, it lends itself to all of that.
And then the opposite of that is college football, that it's so limited. We're all dying for it to get here. And it's a brief, shiny moment on the schedule, on the calendar during the year. I mean, less is better for it, but more is better for baseball.
Watching Brian Harmon run away, I'm not necessarily run away with it, but maintaining a constant buffer. My good buddy Barry Ford reminded me as I corrected myself. It's the Open Championship, Bill, not the British Open.
I think they've even cut it down to just the Open. It's no longer. It's definitely not British Open. I don't even think it's the Open Championship. They're down to just the Open. And
it being identified like that. And it's always.
What about yesterday when play was halted over the Natterjack Ode? A country that once stared down Hitler, now scared for the Natterjack Ode.
When I woke up and you'd text me that, my God, they've stopped play for a rare toad alert. I thought you were kidding.
A Razorback game being stopped for a frog. Somebody'd go to their truck and get a frog gig out of the back of the truck.
Now, hey, in the good old days, if your dog ran out on the field at Blakemore Field up there in Van Buren, they might stop a play or two to get somebody. Well, there's another dog on the field, and the PA.
Some of the drunkest I've ever been in my life was going frog gigging.
Okay.
No frogs, but a hell of a hangover.
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of gigging, just no frogs. So, okay. Who is more overrated this year in the SEC? Tennessee or Texas A&M?
Probably Texas A&M, because I think Tennessee's got a steady hand in coaching Josh Heupel and administratively with Danny White. I love Ross Bjork at A&M, but he didn't hire Jimbo Fisher.
No.
Danny White definitely hired Josh Heupel, and I know both of them really well. I'm friends with them. At one time at Ole Miss, Pete Boone was AD. His lieutenants were Danny White, John Hartwell, Alan Green, who was later AD at Auburn, and Keith Carter was young, up and coming in the office. I mean, it was the galaxy of stars there, and I learned a lot from him. I knew Danny White would do what he's doing at Tennessee. Tennessee's got his act together.
But how do you, if you're Tennessee, because I'll go back again. I bought in on A&M. I think you have them at 10-2. I don't know.
I got Tennessee winning the East, Bill. Not only do I have them winning the East,
wow,
I have them winning the SEC championship game in a rematch against Bama. What a way to go out in the last year of East-West.
Play them
We've
twice.
never had the Tennessee-Bama rematch. We get the third Saturday of October on the famed first Saturday in December. Get your coffee table books ready. Bama gets some regular season at Bryant-Denny, but Tennessee beats Georgia late in the year in Knoxville, and they beat Alabama in the rematch in Atlanta, and they're champions of the SEC.
Okay, you're going to have to convince me about Tennessee. And this is what I guess I go back to. The Hooker kid was such a difference maker at quarterback. And I know he got hurt, but to me, he may have covered up some of the problems that they had.
He did.
Are they?
Who was coaching him? What Josh Heupel's done at every stop, whether it was position coach, offensive coordinator, or his head coach, with his quarterback play, he's got the magic sauce with him. And you will see that with Joe Milton, the Michigan transfer. He's got the big arm, played pretty good down the end of the year last year, real good in the bowl game in their win over Clemson and Dabo Swinney. But my college football playoff, it's the year the rematch continued. It's Tennessee and Georgia rematching in the Sugar Bowl, Michigan and Ohio State rematching in the Rose Bowl, and Georgia and Michigan in the national championship game. And Kirby gets the three-peat, and he's not even champions of the SEC.
Wow, you just blew my mind with that. Like, I'm not.
Yeah.
Is that even? Can you do that? Is that legal
Yes.
in the United States to have that many?
And it's such the year rematch. Even in the Pac-12, they're going to rematch in their championship game with Michael Penix and Washington playing Caleb Williams and USC in their conference championship game.
How much of a role in the bowl selection now does ESPN play because they own the bowls themselves, but more importantly, the rise of TCU and playing 2 games last year. Now, we want to see Michigan, Ohio State twice. Is that what you're saying? Like, we want to see.
We do.
We don't want to see TCU anymore. We want to see the big guys play the big guys over and over again.
Well, they can't help the outcome, but
yeah.
To kind of the match, they sure can. And the last we're especially get into. It's not in the playoffs. There's not going to be a lot of interest in going into the pool.
I tell you what, let's hit a break. Stats, let's reconnect because we lost your signal, or you were fading in and out on us. And I mean a bombshell of a prediction to go repeat in bowl games. Tennessee, Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, after what we assume would be championship games. That is a major a major development there. I need to hear more from Stats on that. Let's see if we can't get his let's see if we can't reestablish connections with Stats during the break. Stay with us.
We're singing soft summer breeze makes me think of my babe. I love that.
Sneaking up on high noon. You can catch us here on 103.7. You can also see us on our OnlyFans page as well as our MySpace page. And hear a rebroadcast of this very show on 106.35 megahertz.com Buzz a Deuce, the sister station, which now is programming unknown what's actually going on over the air over there. Maybe some old school radio days serials or something like that.
UAPs or whatever.
UAP, unidentified phenomenon. Stas Nordsworthy's the pregame, postgame voice of the Ole Miss Rebels. We had him on and had a little bit of a phone difficulty. I think that's the big government trying to silence Stats's voice, like they did during COVID. Real quickly, you talked about rematch Michigan, Ohio State in the Rose Bowl, rematch Georgia, Florida in the Sugar Bowl.
Georgia,
Tennessee. I'm sorry. See, it just rolled. Georgia, Florida rolls off the tongue, or as the ball coach would say, Florida, Georgia. Wow. So we're discounting Alabama. How does that happen? Again, like I said, I mean, I'm having a hard time wrapping I think that's against the law.
It works, I promise you. Bama beats Tennessee at Bryant-Denny in the regular season game. Tennessee beats Georgia in the regular season game at Neyland, so therefore they win the East. Bama beats LSU at Bryant-Denny. They win the West, but they lose at A&M. But Bama and Tennessee rematches in Atlanta. Tennessee gets the revenge in Atlanta after losing the regular season game. And then they play in the college football playoff with them as the 2 seed and Georgia as the 3 seed.
Wow. You cannot say that you've not thought this through. I see your thinking pattern there. It's what you're telling me is that America gets in a land war in Southeast Asia. The Chinese and the Russians both get involved on the other side. I guess, I could see that working out.
And there goes Jakarta.
And they're right. I was going to say, and then suddenly we're bombing Cambodia, and then out of the blue, Nixon is reelected.
Then carpet bomb layout.
Yeah, the Laotians are on the run, and the next thing you know, in Fort Chaffee, Arkansas, I got a bunch of Vietnamese refugees.
And I've spent a lot of summers there when my dad was in the National Guard. It all ties in.
Stats. This is, if not, this is a top 5 for sure. You've had a couple of performances that maybe, but this is a top 5 today.
This one's on the way to the Hall of Fame.
It is. I mean, this one, the Smithsonian has called. We're clipping the sound.
It's going to be there by Dorothy Hughes.
It's going to they're going to replace Orville up in the plane. It's going to be you. They're going to have your little wax statue of it.
I'll drive by the tidal basin and wave at Fanny.
Yes, right there, the Argentinian firecracker, man.
Boy, you knew that was trouble.
Hey, but Wilbur had the
almost as much trouble as trying to hike across Death Valley at 71 years old in 121-degree heat. It's why they call it Death Valley.
What an idiot! Yeah, exactly. I mean, oh man, Stats, thank you very much. Appreciate you, my friend.
You got it, Brother Bill.
A state treasure. Stas Nordsworthy, WHBQ Radio in Memphis. He is a national treasure, not just a state treasure, a national treasure.
A tour de force effort
today.
Right.
And I mean, he has a well thought out how things are going to end up. This is what comes out of SEC Media. Todd and I will not be here next week, so it will be the next week as we start to stretch and tape and get ready for game week, which we're 6 weeks away now. Is that right? 43 days?
Somewhere in that neighborhood, yes.
42, 43 days from kickoff here in Little Rock, Arkansas.
And we will have had some NFL preseason by the time we return.
It's almost here, folks. You can taste it. Till 2 weeks from now, Todd and I say, look out for number 1. Don't step in number 2.